When Russia tried to take the Ukraine, US called it illegal. When China tried to threaten the Taiwan, US called it dangerous. But today US itself talking about taking over the Greenland without Denmark's permission, without UN's approval. What really happening here? Is this US double standard game, or just Trump want to distract the people from Epstein files to first Venezuela, then now on Greenland? In this video, let's understand why America suddenly showing lot of interest on Greenland. On January 12th, Republican Congressman Randy Fine introduced a bill. The summary of the bill is, American President Donald Trump can have extraordinary authority to take control of the Greenland anytime without taking permission from the Denmark or United Nations. Problem here is, Greenland formerly part of Kingdom of Denmark, and also it's a self-governing nation, which means Greenland will take care of its healthcare, education, but when it's come to defense and foreign policy, Kingdom of Denmark will take care of them. Greenland Prime Minister publicly said that they want to be part of the Denmark, not on the US. And Denmark also said many times Greenland is not for sale. However, Trump argues that Denmark is dominating the Greenland, and he said just because Greenland was a colony of the Denmark in history doesn't mean it belongs to Denmark. But this argument ignores the modern reality. Today, Greenland people have democratic rights, elected leadership, and they independently rule themselves. Their stand was clear. They don't want to leave the Denmark. Even after all of these Greenland's leaders' arguments, Trump still want to take the Greenland. But there is one more problem. That's NATO. NATO is a military alliance made up of countries from America and Europe. Its main rule is that if one country in NATO got attacked, all countries in NATO will come to defend it. They made this alliance to protect the Europe from Soviet Union. But big problem here is America is the part of NATO and Denmark as well. And Greenland is the part of Denmark. If America uses the forces to take control of the Greenland, America intentionally break the rules of NATO. That move will become one of the biggest reasons to collapse of NATO. That is why Greenland is not just a territory. It is about international law, alliances, credibility, and future of global power structure. This is why now Europe leaders openly warning the United States respect the sovereignty and international borders before taking any action. For Europe, this is not just about Greenland. This is about protecting the international law. In fact, recently, US Vice President J.D. Vance met the leaders from Denmark and Greenland in Washington. In that meeting, they clearly said that Greenland don't want to be part of US. They want to stay with the Denmark. But still Trump argues United States need Greenland. But why? What's there in that Greenland, which is covered with 90% of ice? Why he is asking Greenland just like kid asking a candy?
I want the Greenland candy, please.
Greenland? But that's not even candy.
Yes, it is. I need it.
To understand that, we need to understand history of Greenland first. Greenland is the largest island in the world. It is so big that you could fit 6 Germanys inside Greenland. Even it is the largest island, their population is just 56,000 people. But its real importance lies on its location. Greenland sits exactly between US and Europe. One side with the Arctic Ocean, which is melting rapidly due to climate change. On the other side is the North Atlantic Ocean, one of the busiest trade route between North America and Europe. Geographically, Greenland is closer to North America, and it is far from their mainland Denmark. This is why some American strategists argue that Greenland comes under American sphere of influence. Historically, Greenland has deep and long-lasting ties with Europe. Denmark began to colonize the Greenland 300 years back, and for the most of the years, Denmark governed the Greenland directly. In 1953, Greenland formally became part of Kingdom of Denmark. In 1979, it gained its home rule, which means it can rule itself. Today, Greenland has its own parliament, its own local laws, it controls its most domestic affairs. Denmark only handles foreign policy and defense of the Greenland today. But the relationship between Denmark and Greenland is little complicated. While two nations maintain the cooperative partnership today, Greenland has not forgotten the past. Between 1960s to 1990s, Denmark carried out on Greenland some deeply controversial policies, which includes forced contraception policies. And Denmark aggressively tried to impose their culture on Greenland society, and this action caused long-term trauma. Further, Denmark itself officially apologized to the Greenland. But despite of the trauma in the past, Denmark never abandoned the Greenland. Even today, Denmark provides massive financial support to Greenland every year. This budget makes up almost half of the Greenland's total public budget. Without Denmark funding, Greenland economy will collapse. Public service, infrastructure and welfare schemes all heavily dependent on Denmark's financial support. This financial support is one of the biggest reasons for Greenland to stay with Denmark. So when Greenland want to stay with Denmark and Denmark will continue to support the Greenland, why is United States stepping between all of this? To understand that, we need to look this story deeper. Some critics argue that there is lot of pressure built up on Trump because of recent Epstein files. So he want to divert public attention from Epstein files to first Venezuela, then Iran, now on Greenland. It is not official, but we could see such kind of criticism. But when it's come to Greenland, the story does not begin with Trump. US tried to acquire Greenland before as well. During World War I, President Woodrow Wilson also explored this idea. Even after World War II, President Harry Truman formally attempted to buy the Greenland. If we see the US history, from Louisiana to Alaska, the United States historically expanded not only through conflicts, but also buying the territories. Example, they bought the Alaska from USSR. Greenland also fits in this historical model. During World War II, when Nazi captured the Denmark, Greenland was left exposed to prevent Germany to gain control over Greenland and protected the Greenland. In fact, American forces built the military bases in the Greenland. They have their airfields, radio stations as well. After World War II ended, United States given Greenland back to Denmark, but American military presence did not disappear. From that day till today, American military is still there in the Greenland. In fact, in 1951, Denmark and United States signed a formal agreement. Under this agreement, Denmark guaranteed the US the right to build and maintain military bases in the Greenland. So the question here is, when American military presence there in Greenland, why to occupy it? Why Trump is creating so much pressure to take control of Greenland? The answer lies in resources, trade routes, and strategic dominance. Although Greenland covered 80% with the ice, climate change melting that ice rapidly. When ice melt, majority of the land in Greenland started becoming accessible, and that Greenland land is rich with minerals. Greenland land holds rare earth elements, gold, oil and gas. When ice disappears on Greenland, extracting these resources will become extremely cheap. But resources are not only part of the story. Melting Arctic ice has also opened the new shipping routes. Today, most of the trade between Europe and Asia pass through Suez Canal. This route is long, expensive and subject to heavy fees, and there is lot of geopolitical risk there. Today, Arctic Sea covered with ice, but when that ice got melt, it will open up new routes that could cut shipping time from months to weeks and reduces the fuel cost. As the Arctic commercial value rises, competition for control starts increasing. Under the international laws, only 5 countries have the access to Arctic. That's United States, Canada, Denmark, Norway, Russia. 4 of them belongs to NATO and 1 Russia. Greenland is very important location. It lies between Arctic and the North Atlantic, which makes it possible to watch ships and aircrafts moving across the whole region. Keeping the control around this region is really really important for the NATO. But when we go back to the rare earth mineral story in the Greenland, these minerals are so precious, and whatever nation starts digging it could make billions of dollars. Rare earth minerals are needed for modern technology, such as our television, smartphones, electronics, and modern missiles and satellites. And currently these rare earth minerals are controlled by one nation, that's China. So all the world heavily dependent on China. So that's a very big risk. So America want to decrease their dependence on China. So they are looking forward for the Greenland. But as of today, Greenland's mining industry is not that grown because there is heavy climate changes and it's really expensive to extract things from Greenland today because there is still a lot of ice in there. The risk is high, but the possible reward also large. So if United States starts become so aggressive on Greenland, it will break the NATO. Now let's understand, without using military power, how Trump can take control of Greenland. We see today Denmark provides $600 million every year to Greenland. So Trump can give $2 or $3 billion and convince the Greenland to join in America. That is one possibility there. And they could convince the Greenland to provide more military protection than Denmark. But money does not decide a country's future. The country's people will. So Greenland people and leaders repeatedly said they want to be part of Denmark. So if we talk little bit about the Trump, he makes extreme comments publicly on different nations without thinking consequences, but later does nothing. But if we talk little bit about the Trump, he always chickens out. He has a bad habit of speaking whatever he thinks in mind publicly without thinking about the consequences. This creating big reputation problem for US. He makes extreme comment on one nation without thinking about the consequences and then does nothing. Just like he said he will put lot of tariff on Europe and he did nothing. He only talks a lot. That's why people calls him chickens out. So that's my explanation on this topic. What do you guys think about the Greenland or Trump? Let me know in the comment section. See you on the next video.